Presbyterian Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you are eternally three in one, and you alone are worthy of glory and honor. So this morning we bless your holy name. Thank you for planning and executing, applying the redemption of Christ's atoning work for us sinners. Thank you for the life and breath that you give to us. Thank you for our spouses and children. We are unworthy in and of ourselves to stand before the righteous, holy judge of all, and yet civil government is a beautiful reflection and manifestation of your great and perfect cosmic rule. And so we are thankful that you grant us this privilege to pray to you this morning through Christ, our great high priest. But you don't just save sinners. You created the cosmos, the theater in which our salvation is worked out. You authored this creation, Mobile, Alabama, and all of its beauties and intricacies. Though not all of us are in Christ, we are all image bearers, and therefore are worthy of honor and dignity, protection and education, no matter which race, religion, or sexuality we hold to. You, Lord God, established the flourishing and downfall of government, and therefore we ask that you would bless the city council under these things. Lord, thank you for the Mobile City Council. Thank you for our precious city. Thank you for the life that is teeming and blossoming in each of our 7 districts. Thank you also for the men and women of the council who care about answering the real concerns, the real struggles, and the real hardships that lie within each part of our city. And Lord, therefore, we ask that you would enlarge our hearts and enlarge their hearts for each other. Holy Spirit, empower us, empower each council member to be fervent about beautifying their districts on the one hand, yet humble to listen to each other well on the other. Thank you for our mayor. Allow their discourse to be filled with truth and yet tempered with patience, dignifying each other. Allow each one to sharpen his or her abilities, so their training and work. Continue to cultivate their hearts as public servants. And Lord, we ask that you would raise up the next generation of public servants that will humbly yet passionately seek justice and righteousness and good for all. May the council continue to be example to all in civil discourse in a time where we so often are less than civil. By them, help us to better love our neighbors when personal or local hardship comes. Allow us to even more open up our homes to each other. And whether it's schools or infrastructure, local businesses, leisure, or injustices, may our council continue to be an example to us for how we are to take care of our own, honor all, pursue righteousness and flourishing, and combat injustice. For those in our city who would intend to hurt and lie, for those who'd manipulate and deceive, for those who would take life, Father, we pray that you'd bring to nothing such plots. And we ask all of these things in the name of the living and true God, that you'd be honored. Bless the council. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we would sit down, I asked that we would observe a moment of silence in honor of a religious and theological giant in this community, the person of the Reverend Joseph Phillips, Bishop Joseph Phillips, the Nazarene Full Gospel Church. The death angel came and summoned him home, and we want to keep the Phillips and the Nazarene Full Gospel family and all of the associated churches in our prayers. He did a great work, and he's resting in his reward. We're going to reserve a moment of silence. Thank you.
Roll call, Vice President Manzi.
He's here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're glad to see each and every one of you. Glad to have distinguished gentlemen from the 4th District back with us. The rules of the council are as follows. We first would ask that you would silence and or turn off any and all of your electronic devices. And then we'd ask that any person desiring to address the council sign in, indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, public hearing, or agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her name and address for the record. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office no later than 2 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to City of Mobile business. Any person who hadn't given that proper notice to the clerk's office won't be allowed to speak. Speakers are granted 5 minutes. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 4. 1 minute remains for summarizing. That second bell indicates that your time has expired. When addressing the council, we ask that there be no personal address to any individual council member. All of your statements are to be made to myself, who serves as chair, and any council member who wishes to be recognized or to respond will have that opportunity. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Those are our rules, and we certainly appreciate your interest in your municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes from June 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? Great job as always. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention. I wasn't here. I can't say.
So we'll have six in favor and 1 abstention.
Communications from the mayor's office.
None.
Okay, no communication.
No, they're not committed.
All right.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on July 4th on Lucky Avenue, July 4th on Virginia Street, July 4th on Gill Road, July 6th on Ridgemont Court, July 6th on Aaron Drive South.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings today is a public hearing to rezone property located at 6050 and 6086 White Bark Drive, north side of Gerby Road, 125 feet east of Bristol Cone Drive, extending to the east terminus of White Bark Drive from R1, R3, and B2 to R2.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary for this particular public hearing? If not, public hearing, you would? Yes, ma'am. Come on down.
The rezoning on White Bark Drive.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
That's okay.
That's okay. All right. But if there is anyone, the public hearing is open. If not, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 3809 Moffett Road, west side of Moffett Road, 70 feet north of Stimson Lane, from B1 to B3.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary for this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 700 Bishops Lane North, northeast corner of Bishops Lane North and Gulfwood Drive East, from R1 to B1.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer Any commentary relative to this public hearing? If not, public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Barbara London.
Ms. London?
Yes,
All
sir.
all right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Barbara London. I reside at 1604 Belfast Street. It's Mobile, Alabama, 36605. My question is regarding parking for the employees that work in this building, as well as probate court. I've been here for 19 years. I inquired about this when I first started and was told that the mobile parking garage was where we were to park. However, we had to pay. How is that free parking for the employees that work in this building? Every time we did find an area where it was free, the city would come right behind us, would mark it as a 2-hour parking area or a restricted zone. A lot of us do not have the funds, whereas we can pay parking monthly. And those who can afford to pay for it is granted free parking. We want to know, how is this fair, and when will the city and the county come together and put a free parking zone for the employees?
Thank you, Ms. London. I think these are pertinent questions that you're asking. Those are the changes initiated were not changes initiated by this body. We don't own the building. We're leasers, renters of this facility as well. But we do have here the individual that was kind of the architect of this plan, Mr. Snowden. If you don't mind, if you would like to address any of our concerns, we certainly would appreciate it.
Yeah, that's an common question we're asked. Where we can get free parking. And I understand your concern, but premium in downtown is premium park. It's premium property. But what we have done is the Fort Conde lot, Republic Parking, as of 1 July, has regulated that lot. We understand that people can't afford parking, so we have a cost right now where workers can subscribe as of 1 July for $30 a month, which equals to $1.50 a day for all-day parking. So we're hoping that will help relieve some of the folks that may not have free parking, but at least there is now parking available where they can subscribe at a fairly substantial low rate. So that's part of the solution that we have for the folks that are dealing with parking in this building. That's all I have to offer at this point.
Can I ask a question?
Ms.
Yes.
Rich?
The Civic Center lot, isn't that available to?
That
people
is.
to park?
That's also available for parking if people choose to park there. And that...
I know it's not as close.
Right, and that's why we're now regulating that Fort Conde lot, which is really close. And like I said, people can park there hourly, but I know for the workers here, that $30 a month is more affordable. Some people may not be affordable, but it's like $1.50 a day for all-day parking is a bargain. And we're trying to address the need here.
How many spaces are at Fort
Right now we
Conde?
have, we have spaces set aside for the museum and for Fort Conde, but right now it's wide open. Maybe I walk past there, we have 20 cars parking there right now, so it's wide open for subscriptions right now.
I have a question.
Ms.
Yes.
Blake?
Thank you.
Is the Civic Center parking free? Or
No,
is it,
you have
it's
to
not
pay
free?
a monthly subscription for that also.
So there's really nowhere free.
Underneath the bridge right now is where a majority of people do park for free, but that may change as construction for the bridge begins.
Well, have we, Ms. Gray?
Yeah, I don't think that resolves her issue, but.
No, it doesn't, but like I said, we're making it, there is low-cost parking available now, whereas before it was totally, like I said, first come, first served. Very early in the morning it was totally full. So it left very little options for people in the building.
Has any thought been given to designating so much of the space there at the Civic Center as free parking for municipal workers or county workers?
That
something along that line?
hasn't been brought up yet. I can approach the staff about that, the mayor and chief staff about that.
Well, I think there's some legitimacy to the concern of not having any free parking anywhere. I understand us wanting it to be regulated. You know, what isn't a great amount to you each month might be a great amount to me.
I understand.
$30 may fill somebody's tank up, and if they're willing to walk a little extra from Civic Center in order to gain free parking, I'm not saying all of it, but I don't think that would be unreasonable. If that would be something that you all would take under
Sure.
consideration,
Sure.
I think that'd help a lot of employees.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Williams?
I was just kind of wondering if, as an administration, if we knew how many parking spaces, if, let's just say we're going to find a free parking space. Do we know how many people we would have to serve in order to do that? How many people work in this building that need a parking space?
I don't know that.
So we haven't, so I think that's where we start, because we have to first realize whether or not we can do it at all, whether or not it's affordable. Because if it's affordable, if we do it for one, in this case, we are probably going to be asked to do it for all that are now paying. So let's just realize what the problem is before we commit to it, but I'd be interested to know as well. I think that $30 is pretty affordable. Yeah.
Sure. Mr. Daves would like to speak. Mr.
Thank you.
Daves.
I support my colleague, Mr. Williams' observations on this, and would add that perhaps a couple of things. One would be to call our sister cities in Birmingham, Montgomery, Huntsville, see if they are providing free parking to city/county employees, see what, if they are, how they're doing it, that kind of thing. And the second thing would be that if it's determined to go down this route, it's one thing for the city to provide free parking to its own employees. It would be something different for the city to provide free parking to the county's employees, right, or state employees that are in this building. I don't know how many different entities employ individuals in this building, but so that would have to be something else to be looked at. Thank you.
I don't disagree, and let me make certain that the request I'm making is clear and concise. I'm not interested in preserving and having free parking for anybody but potentially municipal employees. Everybody else, you'd have, the county has a parking garage. They have the ability to build a parking garage. They can go on their own way. What I'm concerned about is that you got individuals who work 5, 10, 20 years and been able by hook or crook to find free parking. And to kind of all overnight regulate it all and put a cost on it is putting an extra cost on that particular person's resources. And even if we're not able to accommodate everybody to have some, the Civic Center parking lot is sitting there empty every day. It's sitting there. We've paid for it. And so even if it were not free, if it were at a reduced cost for people who work for the city, I think that's something we ought to consider, as opposed to it just sitting there empty. And we're putting a $30 fee on our employees. And I'm just asking that be, and I've dealt with you in the past, you've been very reasonable. You come up with a great plan, I think, in many respects, but there are going to be kinks, and this is probably one of them. And I appreciate all your hard work. Yes, sir. And thank you, Mr. Richardson. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. London, what do you work for the city, county? What agency you work?
I work for the state.
Oh.
No. But it wouldn't help you, Miss London. I am so sorry. Governor Ivey.
See your state
Well,
legislators.
Governor Ivey.
Ms. London,
Not us.
Ms. London,
Oh, so your state
Ms. London, let me just say, I've been on this council nearly 23 years and I have not had a raise. Let the record show. Now I feel worse than you.
Yeah. Well, I think we might be hiring. You come on over, you know. We have given raises 3 out of 4 years, I believe. So, but thank you for coming down.
Thank you all.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Rachel Farley. Reggie Hill.
Is Ms. Farley not here? I just want to make certain. Okay, Mr. Hill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, in the absence of our mayor, to citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning.
Good morning.
Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. And I remember a time from 2016 to 2018 where that would have been 200 Government Street, and you can YouTube that if you would like. I rise today to discuss obstruction of justice. Entertain me, if you will. It won't take too much of your time. I just have some questions. Mr. Chairman, I remember when the police raises were introduced and public hearings were held. I also remember being one of, if not the only, citizen not employed by the City of Mobile to speak in support of such raises for our first responders. Do you recall that, Mr. Chairman?
No, sir.
Okay. We can YouTube that as well.
Yes,
so I would assess that any grievance I present before this body would be one of substantial merit and worthy of the ear of our people. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Brooks that was signed up to speak today, do you know who that is?
Mr. Brooks?
Shadow Brooks that was signed up to speak today. You know who that is?
I know Shadow.
Okay, so you know him, and you know that his mother, Mr. Chairman, was employed here in this building, correct?
Yeah, she was a guard. She was not employed by the City of Mobile.
Absolutely, but she was a guard on the City Council floor?
I know.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, while the Alabama Department of Corrections is under strict scrutiny from the U.S. Department of Justice for prison-related matters, I am sure that the City Council knows that the Mobile Metro Jail is currently 30% over capacity, correct? Okay, we can look that information up too. Mr. Chairman, would you say that the City Council is the oversight body for the Mobile Municipal Court, particularly as judges?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What type of evaluations does the City of Mobile have in place to monitor the operations of the Mobile Municipal Court, and how often are they assessed?
Mr. Hill, we're not going to have a back and forth.
It's not a back and forth. I'm asking you questions,
Well,
and
if-
you said
if
address
you-
all the questions to the chair, correct?
and
Just
you-
reclaiming my time. Mr. Chairman, I offer that you allow any council member to respond to this question. How many people who enter our court system do you believe would even know how to come to the body in this manner to ask these questions? So based on my own personal experiences here in the City of Mobile, I'm rising to call a shift in how our law is enforced in the City of Mobile. Because of years of negligence, thousands of people could have possibly been wrongfully imprisoned within this city based on our governmental operations. Mr. Chairman, are you aware that Alabama state law, which requires you to turn your headlights on 30 minutes before sunset?
Finish your presentation, Mr. Hill.
This is a portion of my presentation. I'm asking, are you aware of that?
You reclaimed your time.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. There is no such law,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, but yet an officer of the Mobile Police Department pulled me over, harassed me, and gave me a ticket for this law that doesn't exist. The fine alone is $452. This is not counting the court cost or cost of an attorney. Mr. Chairman, I have complete reason to believe that I have been personally targeted by this administration, just like thousands of people I believe have been personally targeted by law enforcement professionals in the City of Mobile. When I visited Strickland Youth Center on an invite from Judge Naaman, I saw young kids in shackles, and this shook me. When I saw the name, my character slandered because of my activism, I admit that even slightly bothered me a little bit, but I'm strong enough to deal with that. But when I saw an MPD officer lie under oath to keep me in a position of being a slave. This is what this stuff is coming back to keep me in a position of that. And a judge so willing to side with a law enforcement official and a prosecutor with something that did not exist. So, Mr. Chairman, as many times before, I was unanimously voted on and approved by this council to serve on the Human Relations Commission, to come and voice things of this nature here. The body has been inactive regardless of how much I have requested for assistance from the city to be a part of this. But right now, we are facing some horrible times. I just left this divine intervention that I walked in when I did and came straight down here with my name called. But seeing people who have no idea how to get out of predicaments that possibly they shouldn't even be there for. So we have some serious things going on. I've submitted some information to this administration. I'm forwarding that same information to you. I hope that we can move forward with this issue without bringing toxicity. And if that's not a word, I'll just make it up here today to the city of Mobile, because this is unnecessary. And I thank you for your time to speak, but we got to do something better about this legal system. And it's just unfortunate that it would take someone going through this to come down here and face this. Now, I've always come down here in a professional manner with great decorum for this people. I respect this chamber, but it's a year's time that I've held off on stuff that I could mention about this city with information that they have too. The CEO of this state is the governor, and her seals are fixed on that, and we still get this oppression. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson.
It's crystal clear that those people who feel that that the police behaved him or herself unseemingly, that they violated their rights in carrying out their duty, should register an official complaint. Should register an official complaint so it can be investigated and we can get a determination as to whether or not that officer acted in accordance with the rules. I don't care who it is. It has been said that the police department, that the police officers behave themselves in one community one way and another community another way. Know what the issue, know what the problem is? In one community, they don't report. They don't report when they have been abused and mistreated. They don't report it. In the other community, in other communities where they have few complaints, it's a community where they report any activity that they believe was unnecessary on the part of police. If you want to stop foolishness, report it. If you want to keep on going, don't report it. If you want to do something about it, turn it in. If not, what you're saying is full of sound and fury and signifying nothing. Turn it in.
I would echo what Mr. Richardson has just said relative to us holding all of our public officials accountable.
Right.
Submitting where you feel that there have been instances where you were not treated in a professional manner. But from a council's perspective, this council has addressed these issues to the degree that we know how. We've expended almost $5 million probably on body cameras. One of the first major cities in this state to do so. Created a citizens committee that ended up disbanding itself because of lack of interaction with the community. They'd hold meetings and the only persons would show up would be us and the members of the committee. The concerns that Mr. Hill brought to us today are concerns that need to go to our public safety director. He gets paid 6 figures to adjudicate those issues. That's not our lane. We are a legislative body, and we have one employee. By law, one employee. Would that one employee please raise her hand? That's our one employee. So if Mr. Hill were to bring concerns, I'm his representative, and I represent him. I represent him day in and day out. And if he brought concerns to me that were valid, I would be one of the biggest advocates for him, to the mayor, to our public safety director, to our chief of police, to make certain that whatever his concerns were addressed. And I'm going to talk with him after this meeting to see how I can help facilitate him meeting with the members of the administration. But it also appears he has problems with the administration. And those are problems that we're not going to be able to address at 10:30. And I appreciate his advocacy, his passion. I don't want to see any citizen of District 2 disrespected, overlooked, mistreated, particularly by somebody who draws a city paycheck. But there are proper ways to do all that we do. And so while we certainly can listen for 5 minutes, and he can ask me all of those questions that he asked that he knew I had no answer to, that's not going to solve his problem. And that's not going to help with any interaction between him and a police officer, any citizen and a police officer. We have body cameras that ought to be on, that we ought to be able to draw on to see who said what and how they said it. And there ought to be procedures in place to take care of that. And there are. And so, next speaker, Madam City Clerk.
Kimberly McKeon.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, my name is Kimberly McCain, and thank you so much for Mr. City Council President.
We need your address if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
I did
okay.
that last time. 14 Common Street, Mobile 36604.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
and the Honorable Mayor and his team. So we're here to ask you to push for inclusion. And believe me, your local LGBTQ residents, we're here watching. We're here to take notice of which of our local electives are not okay with us losing our jobs, being denied services and accommodations in the city of Mobile for simply being gay. Last week, our community, we stood before our Mobile County electives, and we asked them for an apology. We asked an apology from Mr. Benson, who made the freaking queers comment. And shortly after, he did release that public apology. So yes, that was progress. But as we know, progress is not a victory. Despite the gains we as a community of LGBTQ individuals have made in the city of Mobile, we still face discrimination, economic inequalities, and bigotry. So probably the most important issue today is that you have the power to stop discrimination in Mobile's workforce, classrooms, and in many other public spaces. By coming to the table with us, you can help amend our civil rights by including words like sexual orientation and gender identity at a local level. That's right, we're here to recruit you to help protect us locally by working as a team to create comprehensive protections for all local LGBTQ people. There is no better way to honor Mobile's most diverse economy and community than with this. The first step is simple. We hear that Mobile has a Human Rights Commission. That is fantastic. That was really great to hear. I would like to know more about it. a few of us would like to know more about it. For example, I mean, how do we do that? If their members are inactive, then who has the power to assign new members to the commission? And because we would like to be on that. And after we've reestablished Mobile's Human Rights Commission, then we want to come back to you as a united commission and say, and continue the conversation for a non-discrimination ordinance for LGBTQ people. And then by doing this, it will help Mobile's policies match its welcoming and diverse culture. Plus, it will go a long way in improving our city's brand and competitiveness even more. So currently, federal, state, and local laws do not specifically protect the LGBTQ community from discrimination. That's right. Under federal laws, LGBTQ people aren't explicitly protected from discrimination in the workplace, housing, schools, or in public accommodations because some don't believe that the word sex includes sexual orientation and gender identity. And that is why the Equality Act, a bill that would protect LGBTQ people from discrimination in housing and the workforce and public accommodations and other settings, did pass the U.S. House of Representatives this past May, and now the bill faces the Senate. It's not the law of the land, and it may not become one. We don't know. But for Mobile's LGBTQ people and allies, we say, not in Mobile. We can no longer compromise our protections from discrimination in order to satisfy those who wish to use religion and hate as a weapon for discrimination, period. So we hope that you, our City Mobile electeds, will shield us from discrimination and unanimously agree that, did I just run out of time?
Yes, ma'am.
We're all, okay, simply we're just asking that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson.
You set out to recruit us. We are recruited.
Thank you. You sure we can't clap?
I don't think as a person up here is in opposition to what you're saying. I don't think a person should be discriminated against for any non-meritorious reason.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Nobody.
And I know the language you have there, that's something we can do.
Oh, really? That's all we want. We're not trying to be pushy or anything. We just want to get back on the Human Rights Commission and start this, and then come back and do an ordinance with you.
Well, Well, is it McCain?
McCain, yes,
McCain.
sir. Yes, sir.
I joined Mr. Richardson.
Yeah.
I happen, whether you noticed it or not, to be an African American.
You did. Mm-hmm.
I am.
She may have missed that.
I got a lot of Indian in me now, but I claim African American. And there are some laws in place for us now,
mm-hmm.
and we are daily discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not for anybody being discriminated against. We happen to have 2 women on this council.
Mm-hmm. I'm
sure over the course of their lives, they have faced some spheres of discrimination. So nobody here, I believe, is going to be in the business. Mr.
I was just going to point out there are only 2 old white men on this council.
Well, I don't know if that's a protected class, though.
That's right. That's funny.
I don't know if that's a protected class.
No, it's definitely not protected.
I don't know if you've had to come up the rough side of the mountain.
Well, we could say that from 1702 to now, they was able to run the government.
I say it's a very diverse council.
It's very diverse. I'll admit to that. You happen to be the minority in this instance, one of the very few, probably. But my point is, we are interested. We have a Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
It is not functioning. I'm interested in getting it we have the power.
Mhm.
You asked who had the power. This council, the members of this council
Oh,
have the
great.
ability to appoint new members to this commission. I'm certainly interested. I believe you live in my district.
Yes, sir.
So I'd like to talk with you about serving
Yes.
and representing our district, and then let's work together to see that we can fashion something that's enforceable.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
one of the detractions we've heard
Mhm.
from two of the cities that have moved forward, Montevallo and Birmingham,
Mhm.
is how do you enforce it? What is the mechanism? And we aren't big on just passing legislation for the sake of passing it.
Exactly.
But we want to make certain that it's something that's impactful,
Mhm.
that will make certain that the issue is addressed, and that we can move forward from.
Yes,
So we
sir.
appreciate you coming down today.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess I will email you or call you and we can start
That'll be
this.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you know, from the beginning, this is all we wanted, so
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Ellen Sims.
Thank you. I'm not sure I need to speak now because I'm speaking to the same issue that Kim just addressed so beautifully, and thank you for your warm, welcoming response, Councilmember Manzi. And so I'm happy to do my song and dance at this point, but I'm looking at some other folks who came with me to know whether or not we need to add anything. Rachel, should I go ahead?
Well, let me tell Rachel.
Yes, sir, Mr. Richardson.
Don't y'all talk us out of it. We've already told you that we're behind you 100%.
You think I might hurt their cause?
But I'm saying the best you're going to get out of us is that we support you. But if you keep on talking, if you say something that might...
I'm leaving at this moment.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Christine Hernandez. Oh, everybody's good?
All right.
Okay.
So Rachel, Chance, everybody, okay.
And thank you all for coming down today. We really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
If I
Mr.
could,
Daves?
I appreciate all of you coming down today, and Councilman Richardson and Councilman Manzi have stated what I believe to be the absolute truth, is that everybody on this council there's no one on this council who is opposed to making sure that every citizen of the city of Mobile is treated in a fair and equitable manner. And the council has taken actions in the past. This council has taken actions in the past, sometimes difficult, sometimes actions that were opposed by large segments of the community, to do what it could to make sure that was the case. And I think I speak for all the council in saying that we are all very open to working with you in an ongoing way to see if we can craft some legislation to make sure this continues to be the case in the city. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Mr. Richardson?
make my parting remarks?
Yes, sir.
For well over 300 years, my ancestors did not have a seat, did not fit under the umbrella of justice. The umbrella at the City of Mobile must be big enough for all of our citizens to get under there, whether we like them or not. Every citizen in the City of Mobile, there's a place for them under the Mobile umbrella. And our job is to make sure they don't push you from under the umbrella. You got a place.
That's right. Got a place. In District 2. You're welcome. Working for you in District 2. More than welcome. In the City of Mobile. This is a beautiful city, an inclusive city, and I'm glad you all have taken up this charge. Madam City Clerk.
Ordinance is held over 88022, 023, 024. Ordinances deeming property at 2407 Baxter Street, 2410 Baxter Street, and 901 Lion Street not now needed for public or municipal purposes, and authorizing the sale.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
Resolutions held over. 01606, authorize addendum to existing grant agreement with Southern Rail Commission for time extension to the Gulf Coast High-Speed Rail Corridor Station Improvement Planning and Capital Projects Grant. 09607, transfer monies from District 7 discretionary account to Parks and Recreation Department for the Hillsdale Community 60th Anniversary Celebration. 21608, authorized contract with VES Specialists for emergency roll-up door replacement for the Public Works Paint and Body Shop. 21609, authorized contract with Thompson Engineering for preliminary geotechnical assessment and boundary and topographic survey for the Public Safety Headquarters. 21610, authorized performance contract with the Dearborn YMCA. 21611, authorized contract with Sharp Electronics Corporation for a copier for the legal department. 21612, authorized contract with Canon Solutions of America for printers for Mobile Fire and Rescue Department. 37613, approve issuance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Lawton Bajo, doing business as OK Taxi. 60614, determine expenditure to the Mobile Terrace Community Development serves a public purpose and approve payment. 61615, 616, 617 are authorizing settlement agreements and release of claims.
So move.
Second.
Properly moved in second, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Items passed.
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 64025 through 64027.
The council rules these ordinances will lay over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 08619 through 6633.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 08619 through 6633.
Second.
Properly motion in second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 08619, approve requisitions over 7,500 for the week of June 24th. 37620, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor class 1 license for Troubadours Country Saloon on Tanner Road. 58621, authorized removal of weeds, Group 1592. 60633, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to the City of Mobile Parks and Recreation Department track team serves a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion in second, any discussion?
One comment.
Mr. Williams?
I don't know which part of this is finding the Troubadours. Actually missing, I looked at the contract, but it's OURs.
Any further comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
CIP resolutions being introduced, 21622, 21624.
By council rules, these resolutions will lay over for 1 week.
No,
No, that's under
we got
regular.
we're just
I
going to
got
call
it.
it
It's the
out.
next one. Resolutions being introduced for the first time,
Call it out.
09625 through 61632.
By council rules, all of these rules will lay over for 1 week, with the exception of 09625.
Second.
Properly motion in second, any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
09625, transfer monies from District 6 discretionary account to the electrical department operating budget for the lighting improvements at the intersection of Nevius and Hillcrest Roads.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion in second, any discussion?
If I could just comment briefly, I'd like to thank everybody involved in this process. Commissioner Carl, who is sending money from the county, the same amount that my office is sending from the District 6 discretionary funds, for a total project of $25,000 to put street lighting at that intersection. It's a T intersection today. It's very busy. It used to be more rural, and there are no lights. This will bring the electrical service and lighting to that intersection, and I know many people will look forward to that. And I thank the electrical department for overseeing the contract and working with Alabama Power to make that come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rich. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Item passes.
Announcements, Mr. Vice President. I would like to announce that anyone from the public or any citizen that would like to address the council next Tuesday on a non-agenda item, because the city is closed on Thursday and Friday of this week, the deadline is tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Thank you for that announcement, Madam City Clerk. Mr. Williams?
No, thank you.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Vice President Manzi. Greetings to the citizens of District 3. Just a reminder of a very important meeting on next Tuesday, which is July the 9th, at the Riverside Baptist Church. We're going to have a community input meeting, getting feedback about the planning for the future of the Perch Creek Park, which include Helenwood Park, McNally Park, and the old mall sewer plant property, which is located on the south end of DIP. Again, this meeting will be held next Tuesday at the Riverside Baptist Church, 3130 Dolphinana Parkway, from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., inviting all the citizens, not just south of DIP, but throughout District 3, to come out to this very important meeting. We want to get feedback from you all. And also to the citizens of District 3, or if you're experiencing overgrown grass, high weed and grass, blighted piece of properties, please dial 311. If you cannot dial 311 from your cell phone or your telephone, just dial 208-5311 from your landline number. Again, if you call any council person, we still have to turn around and report it to 311. So you experiencing any type of grass growing, high weed, because all the rain and the sunshine that we are having now, we have plenty of that's going on throughout the city. But if you experience that in your community, please remember to dial 311. And finally, I'd like to wish every citizen a very happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you, Vice President Manzi.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Mr. Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, we paused at the corner of St. Stephen Road and St. Charles Avenue to dedicate to install a street sign that honored Mrs. Eliza Wright. Mrs. Eliza Wright was a businesswoman for more than 50 years in the city of Mobile. She operated 2 businesses. She has now since deceased, and we thought it was wise for us to come back and memorialize her by putting up a street sign in her honor. And we had a vigorous group out there yesterday, probably more than 30 people, to join in us with the unveiling of this street sign. It turned out to be a grand event. In Tricentennial Park, we have the only freshwater lake in the corporate city limits of the city of Mobile, Day Lake. And when we built the park, in the center of that lake, I put a fountain. And the fountain not only was water coming out of the fountain about 40 or 50 feet high in the sky, but we had lights around the perimeters of the fountain. So when night came, it was a beautiful sight to look over there and see this water going up with all of these fancy lights. And then the fountain went out. So for the past probably 8 months, we have not had a fountain in that lake. We have since ordered a brand new $49,000 fountain. with the new LED lights, and we're going to put on a display that you have not seen before in Tricentennial Park. So I want you to keep your eye on Tricentennial Park at the lake, because we're going to, a contract has already been let. We expect the contract to get started real soon, and we intend to put the show on the road in District 1 over at the Tricentennial Park. Last week I participated in putting Elephant's Closet ribbon cutting. They used to be on Florida Street near O'Shea Road, and they are now, used to be on that's right, Florida Street near O'Shea Road, but now they are on O'Shea Road near Sage Avenue in a larger building. So we have a great group up there. They are open, and for people who want to get, who need clothing, appliances, reasonable, I highly recommend you go up there. They have name brand dresses, suits, all of it. $10, $5, very cheap. And then I'd like to close out by saying that we have a major drainage project going on Florida Street between Dolphin Street and O'Shea Road. And for that reason, it has been difficult for those businesses in that one block to survive, because at times both lanes were closed and traffic could not access those businesses. I'm happy to say that as of today, both lanes are open. I did notice there was a lot of dust going on down there. I talked to Mr. Amberger, and he said they was going to try and spray water down there twice a day to keep the dust down. And I'm asking our citizens, please, to patronize those businesses on Florida Street between O'Shea and Dolphin Street. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Davis? Thank you, sir. First, I'd like to say that there is a ad hoc committee of the City Council working with the administration in order to develop policies and procedures having to deal with the disposition by sale of city-owned properties. The next meeting of that committee will be July 16th at 2:00 p.m. in the afternoon in the council's conference room. And I hope at that time we will be able to finalize the work of the committee. This week marks the 243rd anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was just that. It was a declaration. It didn't actually accomplish independence for our country. That was only accomplished after 7 years of a very difficult war against what was then the most powerful land and sea country in the world. The Americans who fought in that war fought it on behalf of a weak and divided government which couldn't provide pay to them, often couldn't provide uniforms or housing or food to them. And they sloshed through that very, very difficult war, and in the end, prevailed. The country they created afterwards was not perfect. Injustice existed then. The country that they created is not perfect today. Injustice still exists in this country. But what they did accomplish was formidable. Prior to that accomplishment, at least in the modern world, there were no republics. There were no countries in which the people had a voice in both who their leaders were and what laws were passed. They lit a fire. They lit a fire which not only set this country free, but set up representative democracy as the accepted form of government throughout the world. We're still not there. There are still many countries in the world that labor under totalitarian governments. And as a matter of fact, we have seen a resurgence of totalitarianism over the last several decades. But the light that they lit should never be forgotten, and the sacrifices they made to light that light should never be forgotten. And this is the week on which we do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mrs. Rich.
Thank you. I'd like to announce a Public Safety Committee of Services Committee meeting, where the streets assessment report will be given to council. The people who created that report that were under contract with the city will be available and present at that meeting. This meeting will be July 23rd, which is a Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the council conference room. I would also like to join my colleagues in wishing everybody a happy and very safe 4th of July, our America's birthday, USA. Proud to be here, and we are really the best country on this planet. With imperfections, no doubt, but we're always working on them. And also there will be a wonderful celebration at Cooper Riverside Park. And just to remind people, although hard to enforce, there are no fireworks to be let out in the city of Mobile within our corporate limits. So please stay safe and please abide by the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rich. Ms. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. The Lovretta Park Market in the Park continues through the end of July. Of course, this Thursday, being the 4th of July, there won't be a market in the park, but we will continue on after that.
Yes, sir.
Again, it goes through the end of July from 3 until 6. It is at Lovretta Park, and it's the same sort of setup as you find downtown on Saturdays, a little smaller, but the same types of products available, some of the same vendors. So come on out and enjoy the market in the park at Lovretta Park on Old Shell Road. And just one other thing I do want to bring up, because I get phone calls or emails like this, and I'm sure my colleagues do too, where someone has called 311 and they're not getting whatever resolution to the problem that they feel they need, and what they will tell me is that I called 311 and 311 didn't do anything. 311 is not the department that does things. They are not the department that resolves your issues. 311 is the phone call that you call into to report a problem, and they then send that information to the appropriate department for resolution. So they are the call takers. They are not the ones who actually resolve your problems. And I know a lot of people get confused by that, and they don't understand necessarily what 311 does. But 311 is our agency that takes all the calls and the problems and tracks them and helps us keep up with what needs to be done. They send that information to the proper department, like garbage or trash or street repairs, so that then those folks can go out and do the work that they need to do. So I appreciate everybody calling in and asking about it, but I just want to make sure they all know. And our 311 operators do terrific work. The phones ring all day long. I mean, it's like a 24/7 sort of a thing. So just to make sure everybody understands what's going on with that. And like my colleagues, I join everyone in wishing you a very happy, very safe 4th of July. Please remember the fireworks. And if you have animals anywhere near where fireworks are going off, you might want to bring them in the house, because most of our dogs get scared when fireworks are going off, or some firework, rocket, or whatever it happens to be, lands in your yard, and your dog is out in the yard. So just be safe, you know, be sensible about the fireworks. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Mr. Richardson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that it was on July 4th, 1776 that America received independence from Great Britain. Lest we forget, the first person to die in the war for independence was Crispus Attucks, an African American. He was the first. You won't find him in your history book, but you can Google him, because they don't want you to know. That's why he's not in history books. They don't want you to know. You Google Crispus Attucks. He was the first person to die for the freedom of this country. And when we finally got the freedom, Pope Crispus was slam dunked to the basement of society along with the rest of the African Americans. But we have come a long ways since then.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson, for that recognition of Mr. Attucks, and thank you, Mr. Davis, for reminding us of how far we've come and the brave move that it certainly was. And we've come a long way, and we yet have a long way to go. Want to start out by wishing all citizens a very happy 4th of July, very safe, prosperous, hopefully full 4th of July series of festivities. And then I want citizens of District 2 to prepare for our series of our 71st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th community meeting. July 16th at the New Bayside Baptist Church, 950 Wanaka Avenue. July 30th at the VIA Health and Fitness and Enrichment Center, 1717 Dolphin Street. August 6th at the True Vine Baptist Church, 1850 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. And concluding on August 13th at the Union Baptist Church, 506 Africatown Boulevard. We're bringing these meetings in the hearts of major neighborhoods and communities so that it's not an inconvenience for anyone to reach your elected council representative and many of the department heads from the city of Mobile that are a part of the mayor's administration. They will be there to answer questions and to cast a vision for the next fiscal year. And so I want you to come on out, and we'll meet at 6 o'clock at these various locations. We'll send a newsletter out with that information. Cards will also be mailed to your respective community as your meeting gets closer. In the meantime, if you need your council person, I am here, 509-4239, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I am not running from the citizens of District 2. I am working for you in District 2. And we want to solve issues as issues are coming to your attention. As Councilman Small said earlier, your first line of defense is 311. Please dial 311. If you can't dial it, 208-5311, so that they'll have a record of what the issue is. And then if that doesn't work, your next line of defense ought to be contacting the mayor's office. Amen. Because the mayor is over all of those employees. I'm just shooting it to you straight. Because what you'll do, if you call me, now you're welcome to call me. I just gave you my number, 509-4239. You're welcome to call me. But what I'm going to have to do is the same as what you're going to do, which is write a letter to the mayor so that he can do something about it. The mayor is the CEO of the city. All of those employees, opposite this one here, works at his direction. And so that's how it works. Again, happy 4th of July. I want to acknowledge my sister. My sister's here with me. Yes, I am. It's too late. I've already done it. Will you raise your hand? That's my oldest sister. She has been a big help to me, and I thank God for her. She's here looking out for her brother, and I appreciate that. And nothing like having family.
Was she on time?
And when she's not here, she's at home watching on the video to make certain that things are straight. So I want to acknowledge that we're happy to have Mr. Williams, but I'm glad to have you back, John Charles. Any announcements from the administration? Any further announcements? Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion?
No.
If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.